The MLB postseason has been absolutely insane so far. We've only had the Wild Card series so far, but that is what we are recapping today. And I feel like we should start off by talking about the Mets and the Brewers. It was just wrapped up last night in Game 3, and it's going to be fresh in our memories, and it was just absolutely intense. So the New York Mets are moving on to face the Philadelphia Phillies in the NLDS. Mets Brewers was a really good series, I thought. I know the Wild Card series are only 3 games, but Mets Brewers was an insane series, and obviously capped off last night by Pete Alonso's big home run. This Mets team is very gritty. They remind me of the Tigers team of the American League. They just won't give up. It's like no matter what the game is, they do not care. They're going to go out there and play the exact same way as they would any other time. And I love to see that from a team, especially near the postseason, especially in the postseason like this. I don't know, man. This Mets team just feels different. I know that they're not the deepest team in the world, and I know they don't have the best pitching in the world, but they get it done. I think they have the talent, they have the guys, they have the grit, they have the want. I think that goes a long way in baseball, and the Mets have that right now. Apparently, Devin Williams was tipping his pitches last night. After seeing a little bit of that on Twitter, I definitely understand that. I mean, apparently they said that it only takes the smallest thing for baseball hitters to pick up on because they're focusing so much on that pitcher and every single movement that they're doing. And if Devin Williams was holding his glove up a little bit higher for fastballs, then chances are they were going to be able to pick up on that. And it does suck because this Brewers team has been a team for years. They've made the postseason, I want to say 6 of the last 7 or 8 seasons. They can never get over the hump. They always end up facing one of the better teams in the postseason. I'm not saying the Mets are one of the better teams, but they are playing like one of the better teams right now. And the Brewers just can never get over the hump. I liked this Brewers team going into the season. Not even going into the season. I had the Brewers towards the bottom of the NL Central, but throughout the season, I really enjoyed what the Brewers were doing. I thought Pat Murphy was continuing to do what Craig Counsell had done in the past, really doing well with the bullpen, really doing well with the pitchers. And the offense this year came alive. We had a lot of guys have really good seasons. William Contreras was an all-star this year. Willie Adames had a very insane season. Career year for Adames. Jackson Chourio came onto the scene as a rookie this year and had a 2020 year, 800 OPS season. Very, very good year. They had a lot of guys contribute this season. If there was any year that I thought the Brewers could have done something in the postseason, it probably would have been this year, just because of the depth of their bullpen, just because of the depth of their lineup this year. I think this is the best offense that they have had in this tenure as a team that continues to contend for the postseason. I thought this year could have been the year because I've seen they were facing the Mets, and I was like, you know what, Mets, this might be the series where they end up ending their run. They had an insane second half. The Mets ended up facing the Brewers. I thought the Brewers were going to end up moving on. They had a 2-0 game in Game 3 going into the ninth inning. And Devin Williams comes in and he chokes it. One of the best closers in all of baseball. And I do understand the tipping the pitches thing. It seems like that happens a lot more than what we really expect. And like I said, if all it takes is the smallest movement, literally he was holding his glove a slightly bit higher. If you see it on Twitter, shout out to John Boy, shout out to them over there. They had a big breakdown of it. He was holding his glove slightly higher on fastballs, considering as opposed to changeups. And if that's all it takes sometimes, then it would be scary to be a pitcher, man, because you literally have to be a statue every time you set. And I understand that that's honestly something that they probably teach very often, and you're gonna have your windup, and you're gonna, you know what I mean? You're gonna set the same every single time. But it's just I don't know. It mind boggles me as to the smallest little thing can catch people's attention in baseball, and props to the Mets for taking advantage of that, because it does seem like anytime there are times where a pitcher apparently tips a pitch somehow, the other team always takes advantage of it. So props to the Mets. I was watching the game last night in Discord, and it was an insane situation. I have a few friends that are Phillies fans, and I knew that they did not want to face the Mets in the next round. So Mets-Phillies. I don't think the Mets and the Phillies have ever faced in the postseason. I went back in history, and I don't think they've ever faced before. So for a division rival to never have faced up until now, I think this is going to be really intense. The other National League Wild Card series was the Atlanta Braves versus the San Diego Padres. This is kind of another situation. I think the Padres are similar to the Mets, as their fans are behind them. They're playing with a lot of electricity right now, a lot of motivation. The Padres last year, I feel like going into this season, they had a chip on their shoulder. Last year was a bad year. Last year was an unlucky season. They come into this new season. They hire Mike Schilt as a new manager. They get to Tease back for a full season. Some of their guys are healthy. I know they lost some guys in free agency, but I don't know. Everything really clicked for the Padres this year, especially in that second half. Going into the postseason, with how close it was for the Braves to try to make the postseason, I thought they were going to give up a little bit of a better fight against the Padres, but they were playing in San Diego. San Diego fans are absolutely electric. Michael King, absolutely electric. 12 strikeouts in game one against the Braves. They didn't really have much against the Padres. I know Michael Harris had a good series. Their pitching wasn't the worst in the world. It sucks to see, though, that the Braves, they fought right down to the wire against the Mets. They had that doubleheader on Monday. It sucks to know that 2 days is all it takes, and they are out of the postseason, and they are not going to be coming back. So, I don't know. Braves going into the offseason, like I said, this will probably be something we'll talk about in other videos, but I honestly think it's probably the best way to chalk up this Braves season by just looking at injury. Like, they had so many guys hurt this year. They missed a lot of time. Some of their main guys that even were healthy towards the end of the season missed a lot of time earlier this year. Their rotation, man, got to give props to their rotation this year. But yeah, going into the offseason, I don't really know where the Braves are going to go from here, because they could just say, screw it, we're going to run it back next year and pray that injuries don't happen. And I honestly don't think that they'll happen to this magnitude, because there's no way that this team is going to be this injured next year. But the Padres took advantage of all of that. The Padres, like I said, were playing in San Diego. Their fans were absolutely electric to watch, and that was really intense. I love this Padres team. I've talked about them a lot this season over on Twitch, and I'm excited. I'm excited. Padres Dodgers for the NLDS. Kansas City Royals and Baltimore Orioles was one of the AL Wildcard series. I don't know really what to say about this one other than props to Kansas City. They took advantage of the Baltimore Orioles continuing to struggle, and I feel like a lot of this is with the Baltimore Orioles is their young guys. Another year of their young guys just not really performing in the postseason in the big lights. I know it was only 2 games, but these 2 games are where it matters. And I know that the Orioles are completely, like, they're extremely early in this build. Like, they have an insane core, they have an insane team, and they have a lot of young guys around. They're extremely early in that core that they have, and I don't think that they should push the panic button yet, because they are going to have a lot of years ahead of them where they are going to be continuing to compete as long as things go smoothly. It does suck to see 2 years in a row that the Orioles are pretty much absent in the postseason, especially against a team like the Royals, yes, I feel like they had a bit of a chip on their shoulder, because the season before they only won 50 games. They lost 100 games in the season, and they came into this season. Bobby Witt was insane. Salvador Perez seemed to turn back the clock. Their rotation was really good. Their bullpen was really good. The management was really good. And everything seemed to click for the Royals this year, and they made the postseason despite having a terrible September. Like, I thought they were going to end up choking that wild card spot to a different team, but they ended up facing the Orioles, who were really good for most of the season. I know they were a little inconsistent, and it sucks that right now is where they were inconsistent, because this Orioles team is super talented, and I thought they were one of the only teams in the American League that were able to, talent for talent, go toe for toe with maybe the Yankees or the Astros if they had moved on, and maybe end up going toe to toe with the National League team. But 2 years in a row, man, where the Orioles struggle in the postseason, and I don't know where they're going to go in the offseason, because I think they got some question marks. They got some things they'll probably move around. Brandon Hyde, I think only have one more year left to try to prove something, because like I said, they are early in this build. They are early in this core, and I don't want them to push the panic button yet. But it's not encouraging to see 2 seasons back-to-back like this. On the other hand, props to the Royals. Like I said, the Royals, Bobby Witt is insane. He is made for the bright lights like this. Their rotation is very good, and I think their rotation is going to be exceptionally well against a team like the Yankees, who they are moving on to face. Yankees Royals, I think this matchup is going to be really, really good. I think these teams match up extremely well. The Yankees and the Royals both have very similar teams, in my opinion. They're both top heavy in their offense. They both have really solid rotation and a decent bullpen as well. I'm excited for that series. I think as long as I think it's going to come down to whether or not the big guys of the team, whoever performs the best. Because I mean, Bobby Witt performed extremely well in the wild card against the Orioles. If Bobby Witt, Salvador Perez, and Vinny Pasquantino can perform, then I would say the Royals. If Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, on the other hand, perform for the Yankees, then I would say the Yankees, because I think the rotation is probably going to go toe-to-toe, and I think the bullpen is going to go toe-to-toe as well. So I'm excited for that series, but it does suck to see that the Orioles are eliminated now. And the final series that I was really excited to talk about this, because I watched both of these games all the way through. I was trying to flip back and forth to some of the games. I was hanging with my girlfriend, so I wasn't able to watch every single inning of all of the games, but Detroit and Houston. These Detroit Tigers. I'm not saying they dismantled Houston, but this is the first season in however many years that the Astros have not moved on to the ALCS. This Tigers team is gritty. They are the gritty Tigs for a reason, man. This Tigers team is so fun to watch because the announcer said it best the other day when I was watching the game. They said that this Tigers team is a type of gritty where doesn't matter what the score of the game is, doesn't matter what the record of their team was throughout the season, they are going to go into every single game looking for the same thing, and that is a W. Doesn't matter if they were in an inning where they were down towards the end of the game, they are going to fight. They are going to look at it the exact same as if it was a 0-0 to game. And I think that is something that a lot of teams don't have. And, you know, you got to give props to A.J. Hinch. You got to give props to all the young guys that are coming in. I love these young teams that are full of electricity and full of promise and full of fan favorites. Like this Tigers team has that. They have these guys. Tarek Skubal is easy to root for. They have all these guys that are easy to root for, you know. Their offense as well. Like their offense might not shout at you and say like we're a good offense, but they fight, man, and I love to see that. Like they had Andy Ibanez as their 4-hitter in game 1. The second game he was a pinch hitter and came in to hit in 7th. That's just what they do. They ride analytically, which I like. I like analytical offenses. It is good to see the eye test and go with realism, but analytics can take you pretty far, and I like what the Tigers do. They run the matchups. They're not the biggest home run type team, but I've seen a stat where they said that they took the most pitches at bat this year. So they're going to make your pitcher work regardless of who you are. Framber Valdez didn't look very good in the game for the Astros. His stuff was not there, and the Tigers took advantage. Game number 2, Josh Hader. I will never understand, and I know that this is kind of like hypothetically speaking, and it's more of like a skeptical thing, but Josh Hader is not good in a situation where the game is tied or if it's not the 9th inning. Josh Hader is so one-dimensional, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Josh Hader because he is a very, very good closer, one of the best in the game, one of the best we have seen in recent memory, but I don't understand the decision to bring Josh Hader in earlier than the 9th inning anymore, because we have seen time and time again in years past, this season, Josh Hader is not good in the 8th inning. He is not good in a tie game. I don't know what it is. I don't understand really, because he seems, eye test wise, he seems to be the same type of pitcher. But when the game is tied, Josh Hader is not the guy to go to. I thought they were going to go to somebody else and then bring in Ryan Presley towards the 8th and the 9th inning, which they did bring him in at one point. But I know Presley isn't the same guy that he used to be. I didn't realize the postseason success that Ryan Presley has had. I think he was like 14 for his last 14 in save opportunities, like 23 straight scoreless innings for Ryan Presley in the postseason. And I'm not trying to hate on their manager this year, but he was a rookie manager. You know, I know that they have a lot of guys on their team that are postseason bound every single season, and they have a lot of success in the postseason, and they have a lot of experience. But maybe it was just a bit of a managerial decision that, you know, came back to bite them. Once again, though, props for the Tigers for taking advantage of that. Like I said, they are a young, exciting team. A.J. Hinch at the helm. I think he's doing a great job with this team. Running the matchups, like I said, every single at bat, they are going to be taking pitches. They are going to be making your pitcher work. Doesn't matter who you are. I love this Tigers team, and they are moving on to face Cleveland, which I think both teams are pretty similar as well. They are both kind of gritty teams, bullpen driven as well. Both teams have really, really good bullpens. I think that was one of the biggest things for the Tigers down the stretch was their bullpen. They were absolutely lights out. So to go toe to toe, bullpen to bullpen, and see what their offenses can have against each other, I think is going to be really fun. I'm excited. I'm excited for all the division series. I think we got some really good matchups. We got Kansas City and New York, who I mentioned, Cleveland and Detroit. And then on the NL side, I think these are the best matchups. New York and Philly, which is a division rival, and then San Diego and LA, which is also a division rival. Last time we seen San Diego and LA, that was in 2022, and the Padres ended up beating the Dodgers that year. This is a different Dodgers team, though. This is a very, very good Dodgers team. We can't take away from that. I'm excited. I'm really excited. I want your guys' thoughts down below. Don't forget that we stream 6 times over on Twitch every single week. Talking MLB The Show, talking postseason. We play MLB The Show. We play a lot of it. We also always do co-op games on the weekend with any viewers that want to play any games. That is always a good time. We have a lot of fun over there. So make sure you guys follow the Twitch. That would be greatly appreciated. And I will see you guys in the next one.